What is a Republican Precinct Caucus? In Minnesota, the Republican Precinct Caucus is a neighborhood-level meeting that can happen in schools, churches, and community halls where Republicans gather every 2 years in even-numbered years, for example, 2026, to select local party leaders and delegates and to propose resolutions. You don't usually need to RSVP. Just show up, register, and participate. It is one of the most basic and fundamental ways to actively participate in the American political system. Caucuses empower local people to influence party direction, support candidates, and choose delegates and local party leaders. If you're interested in politics, attending precinct caucuses are an easy, exciting, and important path to get involved at the local level and further. It's a great entry point and way to learn the workings of the American political system and discover how to become politically active in many capacities. Explore the Minnesota Secretary of State's website for more discussion regarding caucuses. To find your precinct and caucus date, go to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website, www.sos.state.mn.us. Who can attend? Anyone agreeing with Republican conservative principles and not active in another political party can attend. It is open to all ages, youth and adults, with accommodations for accessibility as needed. Voting is only allowed by ages 18 plus and who are eligible to vote in elections and who live in the precinct. Background information. Your precinct, sometimes a township in rural Minnesota, is a voting district, and a caucus is a gathering of people from the precinct to discuss issues and organize the local Republican Party unit, the BPOU. A BPOU, an acronym for Basic Political Organizational Unit, is the smallest, most local collection of Republicans authorized by the state-level Minnesota GOP. The function of the BPOU is to organize fundraising and provide support for Republican candidates and elected officials. All political parties in Minnesota hold precinct caucuses across the state at the same time, on the same night, and for the same purpose. It is usually held in the evening on a weekday during even-numbered years, often in public school facilities. Each county will have a different setup depending on the anticipated attendance and size of the county or BPOU. The next caucus will take place statewide on February 3rd, 2026. Interestingly, state law prohibits many groups, such as school boards and county boards of commissioners, from meeting at the same time as precinct caucuses. That shows how important caucuses are. At caucus, the voters of each precinct will elect precinct officers and delegates and alternates. In fact, this is the main purpose of the precinct caucus. The voters of a precinct are choosing who will represent them in the BPOU and subsequently endorse legislative representation. The caucus attendees will also discuss and vote on resolutions to change the state party platform. The details of what happens at a caucus. If you've never attended a precinct caucus, it can seem like a lot to learn about. To help you better understand, here is a preview of the likely events. We will cover arrival, caucus call to order and preliminary business, election of precinct officers, election of precinct delegates, introduction of resolutions, adjournment. Arrival. Arrive early at the caucus location and sign in. You'll provide your name, address, and signature, affirming that you consider yourself a member of the Republican Party and that you are not an active member of any other political party. Find your precinct's area and be sure to introduce yourself to others. Get to know everyone better. Find new friends and see familiar people. Have some fun meeting people of a like mind. To vote or to run as a delegate or to run as a precinct officer, you must be at least 18 years old and eligible to vote in the next general election. By the way, every 2 years, local representatives are elected to the Minnesota House and every 4 years to the Minnesota Senate. During the caucus proceedings, candidates and elected officials may stop in to visit, meet you personally, and make a short speech seeking your support. Caucus call to order and preliminary business. At 7 p.m. sharp, the caucus is called to order and the group led through the Pledge of Allegiance. The caucus may be a joint session of all the individual precincts, where each precinct will meet separately after the joint session. First order of business is to elect a chair to act as convener and a secretary to take notes and handle record keeping. Next, at least 2 tellers who count the votes during the caucus are appointed or elected. The 2026 caucus will also conduct a governor preference vote before any other business. Election of precinct officers. Next are 2 separate elections for precinct officers and then precinct delegates, positions which you can both hold and who will serve at the BPOU level. First, the election of precinct officers, consisting of a chair and up to 2 vice chairs, is begun. Nominations can begin any time after the caucus chair is elected, and it's always okay to nominate yourself for any office. Precinct officers are elected for a 2-year term. Precinct officers represent their precinct at the regular, usually monthly, BPOU meetings and make up a BPOU's voting body known as the full committee. Consequently, it is an important role. Precinct officers are expected to attend most regular meetings, engage in discussion, volunteer and participate in accomplishing goals of the BPOU, and, importantly, precinct officers represent their precinct and vote when the full committee needs to make decisions for the BPOU. Here is your opportunity to become involved at the next level. If you are willing to take this role responsibly and with some seriousness, then you are encouraged to run and make a difference. If you don't feel quite ready to be a precinct officer, know that you are encouraged to attend your BPOU's regular meetings and be an active member. Learn firsthand how the BPOU works and help however you can. Election of precinct delegates. The next order of caucus business is to elect delegates and alternates to represent your precinct at the BPOU convention and meetings. Nominations can begin any time after the caucus chair is elected, and it's always okay to nominate yourself for any office. Precinct delegates and alternates are elected for a 2-year term. Serving as a precinct delegate allows you to attend the BPOU convention, held every 2 years, as a voting member. Alternates, importantly, fill the place of delegates who cannot be present at the convention for whatever reason. At the BPOU convention, precinct delegates vote for BPOU officers, vote on BPOU constitution and bylaw changes, and can perhaps become an elected state delegate or alternate who represents the BPOU at the next higher level convention. Additionally, precinct delegates in the Senate district get together on even-numbered years for a Senate district endorsing convention, where they vote to endorse a state Senate candidate and a district state representative candidate. The expectation for a delegate and alternate is to attend regular BPOU meetings and be an active BPOU participant in order to make informed voting decisions at the BPOU convention. Have you ever thought it'd be great to attend as a delegate to the National Republican Convention held every 4 years? This is where that path begins. Introduction of resolutions. If you have an issue you care deeply about, make your voice heard by introducing a resolution at your caucus. Using the Minnesota GOP resolution form, write your resolution in clear and concise language. You'll be given an opportunity to read it to the group. Then they'll discuss it and consider whether your resolution should be approved and passed on to the district convention for further consideration. Every plank of the Republican Party platform began as a resolution at a precinct caucus. Once all the resolutions have been considered, caucus business is essentially concluded for the night. Adjournment. You can go home satisfied that by attending your caucus, you helped strengthen the Minnesota Republican Party and its values at the grassroots level. You've also participated in the most fundamental and basic way in the American political system. Thanks for watching this introduction. More details can be found in the Official Call, a document published by the Minnesota Republican Party every 2 years. It covers the rules and all procedures for caucuses and conventions. You can find the Official Call online at mngop.com. We look forward to welcoming you to the Republican caucuses.